I'm back to do my November TBR. I am really excited for this video. I actually have a couple of different sections of this TBR, so we're gonna get to it. There's a couple of different challenges happening, and one that I have given myself. So I'm gonna do this like a bunch of different ways, but I'm gonna do a NetGalley November section, which is hosted by Coffee Books and Bullet Journals. And I will hopefully be able to do that because I really do want to get my NetGalley score up. That's like a big goal. And then I also do have the TBR and Beyond Sugar Rush, but I think that will just sort of happen as I get through it. Like, I'm not going to like plan books for that unless like I think something is really outside. I also have my categories, which I definitely failed in last month. I thought I was going to fail in last month because it was creepy and spooky season and none of the books I was picking really worked. And I also am going to try to read more adult fantasy this month. So I have a jar focused on the adult fantasy. So every section we're going to do a section for adult fantasies categories and then audiobooks. And then NetGalley November will go last because it is a little bit more intense to figure out. So we're going to start with adult fantasy. I'm going to see how many adult fantasy books I'm going to choose for this TBR. 5, and I do have 2 books that I'm sort of in the middle of reading that I've put down that I'm going to put on this TBR, and they're probably going to be the first 2 books that I finish. One is Way of Kings Part 1. I am 294 pages into this book, and I just want to tackle it. People have loved this series, and I have said that I do struggle with adult fantasy quite a bit, so I'm really hopeful that this will work and I will like it. And I also have Part 2 on my TBR, or on my general TBR, but I'm only going to put Part 1. But I did like it when I was reading it, and everyone has been reading it recently and really enjoying it, so hopefully this one gets liked. And then the next book on my TBR that I did start, I read about 80 pages, is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. So this is another book that I started, and I just would like to wrap up. I actually started these over the summer, and I just never got around to finishing them. But I think I'm going to make that a priority this month. So those are my 2 books that are on my TBR. They have been everywhere. Everyone talks about those books. They are intrigued enough that I have decided to pick them up. So I'm going to pick 3 more, adult fantasy books from my cart, and then from my little jar, and we'll talk about what they are. I hope that they're not the same. Ooh, I get to choose one. All right, that's exciting. Let me go find an adult fantasy book that I would like to read. Sometimes not always easy. Is Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett. I heard about this from Peruse Project. It's about a thief. I think she has the ability, like if she touches something, she could see the entire history of an object. And it's about a thief and like a heist, I think. I'm really excited for this. I've actually heard really good things about it. If I like this book, I'll definitely probably check out his other books that he has. But this one is the one that has intrigued me the most. And I have heard really good things about it. All of these fantasy books I've heard incredible things about, and I sometimes struggle with adult fantasy, so let's choose the next one. I hope that is not one I actually already read. Ooh, I'm gonna read Shadow of the Wind. This is a much older one, and I've heard very good things about it, but here's a photo. To read in November. I'm really excited about it. But it takes place in Barcelona, 1945. It's the aftermath of the Civil War. Daniel's a bookseller son mourns the loss of his mother, and he finds solace in a book titled The Shadow of the Wind. But when he sets out to find the author's work, he makes a shocking discovery. Someone is destroying every copy of every book. Soon Daniel innocently quests and Bob door into Barcelona's darkest secrets, or epic story of murder, madness, and doomed love. That sounds really good. I'm really excited. I've had this. I just recently bought this on my Kindle, but I've heard about this book for so many years. So, and let's choose the last one. These are really massive. That's why I'm choosing so few, because I really do want to finish them. I don't know if I need another Brandon Sanderson book this month, and that is going to be Warbreaker. Standalone Brandon Sanderson book. I don't know much about it, but the summary on Amazon says Windbreaker is a story of 2 sisters who happen to be princesses. The god king, one of them, has to marry the lesser god who doesn't like his job, and an immortal who's trying to undo the mistakes he made hundreds and hundreds of years ago. So I'm intrigued, definitely intrigued to read that one. It's definitely on the longer side too. So I will definitely compare and contrast those two Brandon Sanderson books. I'll probably read them at opposite ends of the month. But yeah, those are the adult fantasies that I am going to focus on. I did not do very, very well in categories last month. I just sort of failed. So I'm going to roll my dice for categories and see how many prompts I do. And also, I didn't put any of my new prompts in here because I did do all of the books for the previous prompt, like the previous boards that were out. So I won't make it work. Depends on what prompts I still have left to do. Ooh, okay. I only have 4 prompts for this. Okay, that's doable. Prompt I'm gonna choose, you guys can't see it, but I have like a big mug of prompts that I made, is, ooh, a backlist arc. Okay, I'm gonna go find one that is still eerie and creepy because that's sort of what I'm still deciding to do. But yeah, so I'm gonna go find like an eerie and creepy arc. I think I have the perfect one. NetGalley November. I am gonna pick some physical books that I do have like art copies of on NetGalley, just so I can add this to it. So I decided to pick All of Us Villains by Amanda Foody and Christina Lynn Herman. This does come out in November, so it's perfectly on time. Definitely gives me eerie and creepy vibes, and it's you fell in love with the victors of the Hunger Game, now prepared to meet the villains of the Blood Veil. I don't know much about this book. Let me see if there's a summary. Sometimes they give you a summary about it. Let me see if I can look it up. But let me just read it to you. The blood moon rises, the blood veil fails, the tournament begins. Every generation at the coming of the blood moon, 7 families in the remote city of Iverneth each name a champion to compete in the tournament of the death. The pride's exclusive control over a wellspring of magic that is the most powerful resource in the world, once thought depleted. This year, thanks to a salacious tell-all buck, the 7 champions are thrust into a worldwide spotlight, granting each of them new information, which might need new means to win, and most importantly, a choice to accept their fate or rewrite their stories. And this story must be told and penned in blood. That sounds really interesting. It sort of reminds me a little bit, definitely of the Hunger Games, but also like the Talacious like tell-all stuff always reminds me of like a contemporary, so I'm really excited for this. I have liked both of these authors' works. I love the Devouring Grey series, and I really liked Amanda Foody's I really liked her middle grade series that I read. I also read one other book by her that I really liked. I can't think of it right now. But yeah, so I'm excited to add this to my TBR, and hopefully it gets read. I definitely am reading longer books this month. I will say that might come back and bite me in the butt, but we will see. So that's the first one. The next prompt I have, an ALA arc 2021, which will be another another NetGalley arc. So let me go see if I could find one. I do go to a lot of like conventions, so I might just say one that I got the most recently, because I did get a couple of arcs relatively recently, and I might choose one of those. So let's go figure out what it is. Work for NetGalley November, and I will go over all the prompts I think it fits for when I get to it. But I'm gonna read Castle in, I think it's Castle in Her Bones or Castle in Their Bones by Laura Sebastian. This cover is so pretty. Come out until February 1st, 2022, so it is a later book. This is her dive back into adult fantasy, which I'm really excited about. And a spellbinding story of 3 princesses and their destiny. They are born for seduction, conquest, and the crown. Immerse yourself in the first book in a fantasy trilogy from the author of the New York Times bestselling Ash Princess series. This summary, I'm not even going to read it anymore because I want to go in blind, but it sounds a lot like the 3 Dark Crown series, which is one of my favorite young adult fantasy series that I've read to date. I love it's about sisters. I think this is great. I'm so excited. And again, this is a bit of a massive book, so we will see if I get through them all, but I definitely hope to. I could fit on here because it's been like a book I've wanted to read for quite a bit, but I don't know if the TBR cards are going to be in my favor. Ooh, okay, so let me go find, I did do all my prompts for the Avengers Reading Challenge that came out this month, so let me go see what are the new prompts, and let me see what is a book, because I have to do one of the newer boards, because I think I did Peggy Carter, I think I did her already, so let me go find what the new prompts are in a book that may work for that. Looking at Dre and Matthias's board, and there's a couple that I'm probably going to be able to do for this, but I'm going to pick The Dragon King by Cinda Williams-Chima. Hoping it will work. It's been a book that I've had on my TBR like all month. I have loved everything that Cinda Williams China has written. I actually only read one of her series, so I really hope to actually tackle this one. But this is like a higher fantasy, a young adult series. It's so long. I got this one Borders was still in business, so it's been a bit. But I know that this is one of Reagan's favorite series that she ever wrote. So I'm really hopeful that I'll dive into this one and really enjoy it. Again, it's pretty massive. But I'm excited to dive into it. And then the last prompt book, I always am going to add more, but the last prompt book that I have is another Avengers prompt. So I'm just going to go find another one that I still need to read. I think I actually have a good idea for the options for this. I just can't find the Witcher short stories right now. I probably have it somewhere. I just can't find it. So the Witcher short stories would be a translated work, which I need for the Black Widow board. But also, I have another book that I do also have an arc of on NetGalley, which is The Other Merlin by Robert Scheiner. And this is a classic Arthurian legend from the ultimate historical rom-com from the witty reimagining of best-selling author Robin Scheiner. And this one just sounds super fun. So this one I'm going to add to my TBR, and it will also go on my NetGalley November board, which I'm now going to talk about. So that will be what that was going to be. I should still have the Witcher book around here somewhere. I just can't find it to show you guys, but the Witcher short stories would also work for the Black Widow board as well. So now let's get into the rest of NetGalley November. Some bullet journals. I just want to show it to you. You probably really can't see it all that well, but it is just a bingo board. So on my bingo board right now is, for a highly anticipated book, I have Castle in Their Bones. Castle in Our Bone also works, but a book you requested because of the cover. And a hype book is Castle in Our Bones. So that one goes for 3 prompts. Another one is a book that is already published, would be the Merlin book, because it would be considered that. And then All of Us Villain is a book in a series and a book that you've read before, so it does work that. I still have quite a few prompts that I haven't put down yet. So I'm actually going to go get my Kindle, because some of these, I have to look at my Kindle. I honestly don't remember if I started any books. I probably did. The only one I remember I did start is Little Thieves, and honestly, I don't know if I'm ready for like another 500-page book. So we will see what gets chosen. Let me go find my Kindle. The first prompt, or one of the prompts on this, is a book, the oldest book on your TBR. And I just scrolled all the way down to the bottom of my Kindle and chose the one that I got the most longest ago. So that is A Circus of Stolen Dreams. I'm going to see if I can get you guys a picture, because it's a middle grade, but here's a photo. Grief-based middle grade, but this girl, she loses her brother. She's just dealing with a lot of her emotions. She's in middle school, I think, and she winds up finding this location and this magical world that she can go into, sort of like release her grief. But there is a price whenever she enters this world, and that is a memory. I'm really intrigued. Definitely will probably be one of the shorter books I read this month, for sure. But it's one that I'm excited for, and definitely will be a little bit more shorter than my behemoth of the other books on my TBR. But that is a book that works for a debut. And I think that's it. A debut and the oldest book on my TBR. So I need to find a book that is written by an author of color, which I think I can definitely do. A read now book. A lot of these books were read now for me. So just because I'm automatically done by publisher. So I think I'm going to do for that one is These Deadly Games. I'm going to read that one, which I'll put a picture up here. These Deadly Games. A couple of books that I did start and put down. One is Honey and a Shoe's Guide to Fake Dating. This is another one that I have put down a couple of times, so I'm hoping to pick this one back up. And also, The Queen Will Betray You. These are 2 books I have started. They are on my NetGalley TBR, so if I can finish those, that would be great and excellent. And then there are a couple of ones, like a buddy reading arc. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that unless I find someone that's buddy reading something. Pick an arc with a random number generator. I could definitely do that, but I'll probably do it when I get closer. Character that I can relate to normally pops up when I'm like, when I'm reading. I probably will pick one for that. An audiobook, I can probably try to get one of these as audiobooks. It just like depends. I have my eyes on The Luck of Titanic, because I've had that audiobook in my queue for a bit and I just never got to it. So that might be an audiobook that I get. But an author of color, I'm going to do Skin of the Sea. Again, another really, really long fantasy book, but here it is. Out on fantasy. This one can also count for that, but I did want to kind of read a few more books if I could. So this one is Skin of the Sea. This is I think this is a unforgettable fantasy debut about a West African mythology. This is Children of Blood and Bone meets Little Mermaid, in which mermaids take on the gods themselves. I am intrigued enough for sure, definitely, to read that one. So that one's one I'm really excited about. I do like to have a pretty full TBR card, and we still are in the middle of spooky season, so I'm going to keep a couple. Also, a couple of these will kind of work for this, especially if I need a break from like my insanely long fantasies, which is basically what this month will be about. The Vanishing Stair by Maureen Johnson is another like mystery thriller. The Witch Haven by Sasha Payton Smith is another witchy themed novel, which I really have been liking. And also Holopox, The Hunt for Morgan Crow is another one. So, audiobooks, I'm definitely going to try to keep going with the spooky theme. But a couple of the audiobooks that are on my list is the last Carrie Maniscalco book. Also, I have a couple of nonfictions. I have Peril, a couple of political ones that I always tend to read during election month, just as a reminder of what happened. But I will kind of talk about the audiobooks as I get through them, because I'm not really going in with a solid plan. Also, some of those might kind of get turned into this prompt as well. This definitely did not take me as long as I thought it was going to, for sure, but I really hope you guys like this video. I will be back throughout the month with another update, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye, friends.